Good evening. Welcome to PoliticIt podcast. Tonight we have Kelley with us, and Cole is a candidate for District 12 of the state school board.
That's correct, yeah.
So Cole, just, I'm sure many of our viewers really aren't familiar with you. So what I'd like to start with is just talk about, where you're from, where you grew up, what got you into teaching. You're a teacher.
Sure.
And so let's talk about you a little bit.
You bet. I'm a homegrown Utah boy. I grew up in Pleasant Grove, Utah, graduated from Pleasant Grove High School. I've raised my kids in Utah County.
You're from Vineyard.
Yeah,
right?
So I currently live in Vineyard, but for most of my kids growing up, we were in Orem. And you mentioned I'm a school teacher. I've been teaching in Alpine School District for 27 years. The first 10 years of my career, I was at Orem High School, and I taught English at Orem High School. And while I was teaching at Orem High School, I actually got licensed as a financial planner, and I would do that on the side. That was my part-time gig, as a lot of school teachers do. And when the legislature passed the bill that made financial literacy a graduation requirement in Utah, I said, that's what I want to teach. And I was very excited about that step. And for the last 17 years, I've been teaching financial literacy at American Fork High School. So,
very good.
So
is that all you teach now?
So I teach some business classes as well, but yeah, most of my schedule is financial literacy, and it's a passion. In fact, at the 10-year anniversary of financial literacy, I worked with Auditor John Dougal. We did an audit of the impact that the class is having on Utah students. And the bottom line was, what came out of that research and that audit is, if you have a good teacher in the classroom, the kids are doing well. They're learning the subject, and it's translating into good financial decisions throughout their life.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you found something that you're passionate about.
Sure.
What motivated you to now turn that passion towards this race for the school board?
I've always been very outspoken. I've always tried to come at it from this way. I feel like I'm coming, I love the classroom. I've got a master's degree in educational administration. I have the degree to be an administrator. I have an endorsement in educational counseling. I could go into the counseling office, but I've chosen to stay in the classroom. It's where I love to be. It's where I feel like I have the greatest impact.
So where'd you go to school?
So I got my bachelor's degree at BYU. I got a master's degree from Southern Utah University.
Oh, very good.
So yeah.
So did you actually do that online, or did you?
It was the distance learning. So you'd show up, and they'd broadcast the class to you, and I would attend that at Orem High School, and the professors would lecture from Cedar City, and we'd be there in Orem, on camera and pushing the microphone and contributing that way.
Very good.
Yeah.
So was that helpful for you? And
I often, it provided some unique insight into how, funding works in education. We off camera, we kind of talked a little bit about WPU and how the WPU system works and the funding for education. And it provided good things to know as you go into the state school board. Correct. Yeah. The insights that it provided was they were unique, and certainly I'm glad that I did that. I sometimes question how smart it made me. I don't know if it made me any smarter. So
that's interesting. I was a university professor for a number of years. I've just retired, but sometimes you wonder, right?
Right.
So what are the things that you hope to achieve as a member of the state school board?
One of the things that I've consistently been frustrated with as an educator is that we continue to complain about the same issues year after year, and we've been doing it for 50 plus years. And two of the biggest things are teacher salary, classroom size. Right, and you consistently hear about teachers and how teachers are underpaid. You consistently hear about classroom size and how we have too many classrooms. And I think we've got to start looking. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so we complain about it, but we keep doing the same thing. And I think that there are things that needs to change. I think that we need to look at rewarding excellent teachers. I know that you've put some bills forward that encourage rewarding excellent teachers. And what's interesting is who fights against that, one of the things that I really felt like, I mentioned to you that I ran for Alpine Board of Education 2 years ago. One of the things that I really liked about running and the process of running is that people started to wake up. You were able to kind of, engage in debate and share your ideas with people, and people started to recognize, oh, that is the case. And I think the more that we debate, the more that we discuss, the more we get these ideas out there, the more that people start to recognize how we truly can improve education, And so that's, what my goal is. I want to look at outside the box ideas. A lot of these organizations, and this is the thing that I really respect. That teachers are good people, Parents are looking out for their kids, and they're trying to do what's best for their kid. But a lot of the organizations that are claiming to represent teachers, and a lot of the organizations claiming to represent parents, are not truly representing them, and that's something that I like to bring to light. So
very good. So do you have any suggestions along that, as far as representing teachers?
Right now there's one voice for teachers. They've got a monopoly on the voice for teachers, and it is the UEA and the NEA. And when you look at the platform of the NEA and you look at the platform of the UEA, their values don't line up with conservative values. And if we want to remain conservative, we want to continue to be a constitutional republic, then we've got to get back to the roots of what made this country great, and free market principles and a lot of the things that has brought us to where we are now. And I feel like that we're getting away from those things. And so I think that there needs to be more voices at the table representing teachers. I think there needs to be more voices at the table representing parents.
So yeah, it seems like to me that if parents are involved in education, that students tend to do better, right?
Sure.
The parents that care about their kids' education, they often have the kids that do the best. And so, that doesn't mean that all parents are perfect. That doesn't mean they always have the best interest of their children even in mind. But they need a voice at the table, right?
Absolutely. And it's almost like we've created this us against them situation. And we saw that highlighted during COVID in not just throughout the country, but right here in our own backyard. And we saw the system fight against parents, and we saw the system make an enemy of the parents. And my fear is I've been in public education for 27 years, and I'm watching a lot of those parents that you're talking about that are engaged in their kids' education withdraw their kids from school because they're seeing what's happening in our schools, and they're saying, I don't want this for my child. And the homeschool movement's growing, and it's growing significantly. And I don't fault them. In fact, I recognize why they're doing it, and I applaud them in a lot of ways that they're doing what they think is best for their kids, and in a lot of ways it is what's best for their kids. But we can't give up on public education because it is the future voters. It is the future generation of our country, and if we allow the system to indoctrinate our kids, and the majority of our kids that are going through the public education system, it's going to be to the detriment of our country in the long run.
Yeah, we really have to look at why people are exiting.
Right.
This Utah Fits All scholarship program, is way oversubscribed. I mean, right now, we had the money put in there for about 10,000 scholarships. There are already 15,000 applications, and chances are we're going to hit 30 or 40,000 applicants for that money. And at some point, I think you have to kind of look at why are parents choosing to do that. And these are kids that are coming from Title I schools too.
I heard you say that. I heard you say that, and I had a conversation with my wife really just the other night, and we were talking about that. My wife and I got married 5 years ago. It was a mine and her situation, and she had 4, I have 5, but they're mostly adult age at this point. And the opportunities, she was a single mother raising kids, and didn't get alimony, didn't get child support, and was really struggling to make ends meet and provide opportunities for her kids. My kids had lots of opportunities, right? And so it was, they had very different upbringings. But she kind of expressed that, hey, what about my kids? Would my kids have that opportunity? And under that program, that's something that I think is very important. That we're not trying to create a system that simply rewards the rich kid, right? Mm-hmm. We're looking for a system that allows everybody, because I feel like I'm 99% capitalist, and if there's one socialist bone in my body, it's that education needs to be available to the masses, because that is their ticket, and that is their way out of poverty and out of the situation they're in.
That is a proper role of government, I think. And so we're going to take a break, and we'll come right back. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Hey Siri, how do I get to the state capitol?
John, the fastest way to get to the capitol is to make a lot of empty promises, to get help from special interest groups and endorsements from politicians. You will also need to buy a better suit.
That's not going to work for me, Siri. You need to find another way.
John, listen to me. If you're going to win your race, you will need to play the political game. You also need to use more hairspray and buy a golden retriever. Also, a new phone case would be nice.
It's enough of this.
John, are you there? Did you just leave me on the road? Fine. Keep your principles, John.
My name's John Johnson. I'm not running to be part of a system, and I don't owe anyone special favors. I'm running to listen to and work for you. I'm running to get results. Welcome back to PoliticIt. Tonight we have Kelley with us, and Cole's a candidate for District 12, State School Board. So we got into it a little bit before the break about why you're running, but why don't you explain what's the motivation for you as an individual to get involved in this process?
I've been highly engaged in Utah politics and watching what's taken place in Utah, and I feel like we've had a legislature in Utah that's tried to push forward good conservative values, and I've watched, at the legislative level, I've watched that they've passed some bills that I think are conservative in nature, that are looking out for our education system, that are looking out for the teachers. And I'm seeing what's a lot of times what is happening is those bills are being passed. And a good example that I like to share is the sensitive materials bill. The legislature passes a bill, says, hey, there are books in our libraries and in our classrooms that are pornographic, and a lot of people want to turn this into a book burning issue, and it's not a book burning issue. Read some of those books, please, and you will see the pornographic nature of those books. We've had parents try to read excerpts of those books in board meetings, and the board has shut them down because it's pornographic, And I know there was a bill that was addressing that, but but the sensitive materials was passed by our legislature. Our Attorney General writes an opinion and talks about the legality of it and supports the sensitive materials bill. And then when it gets to our state board of education and when it gets to our local boards, we've got school boards that are trying to circumvent the law and trying to get around what are ways that we can get around allowing these books to stay in our schools and in our classrooms, instead of saying, you know what, there are books that are not age appropriate, that should not be in our classrooms, that should not be in our libraries. Let's follow the law and let's get them out of our schools.
Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion about what happened this year. In fact, the UEA tried to get the governor to veto the bill that basically said, hey, if there are books in school districts across the state that are found to be objectively pornographic, and the definition on objective porn is that they cross the line. Right? And it only deals with the objective porn, not the subjective things, right?
Sure.
And so what it says is if 3 or more districts ban this book, then it should be taken out statewide. But what will happen is that will go to the state school board.
Right.
So, position that you're running for, you'll be in a position where you'll have to look at this, the findings of these districts and find if that book really does cross the line and should be taken out statewide.
Correct. Yeah, and that's where I feel like our current state board has not been strong on those values, has not been strong on those conservative principles, and so I think we need stronger voices at our state school board, and voices that are going to protect our students, voices that are going to advocate for our students.
So you say that you're a conservative teacher, right? Does
Absolutely.
that mean there are people that aren't conservative teachers?
That is correct. I actually believe that I'm a little bit of a rare breed in education. I think there's
probably good you're teaching public finance, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing. I actually had a student today. They asked me, hey, I dress more like a coach usually than putting on a nice little button-up shirt and there. Why are you dressed up so nice today, Mr. Kelley? And he says, I got an interview. I'm going up to an interview later, and so. So I decided to put on a button-up shirt today, right? And this student says, what's it for? And I told him that I'm running for the State Board of Education. And the student actually said, I don't know, what are your politics, right? And to me, that's a compliment, right? My students shouldn't know what my politics are,
right?
If I'm simply teaching the subject matter and doing in the classroom what I should be doing, and so generally speaking, now outside of my classroom, I'm very outspoken, right. and people know what my politics are. But when I have a group of students in front of me, I'm not pushing my politics onto them, and that's something that I think is very important. It's another issue that we're facing right now, and that's part of what I look at. If I put a Trump 2024 flag in my classroom, within an hour I'd be called into the office, and I should be, right? But there's a lot of political flags that are being flown in classrooms that are left-leaning, flags and materials that there's no consequence, and so we've got to recognize that the classroom is not a place to indoctrinate students into your political philosophy.
Very good. So you would preach a neutrality as far as party politics and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think but having said that, there are fundamental historical things that have made this country great. One of the things in my curriculum as a financial literacy teacher is the free market, right, versus the command market, and helping students recognize, what the free market system does versus what the command system does, and helping students recognize the free market system has proven throughout history to be the system that has brought more people out of poverty than any other system in the world.
Yeah, you look at the economic reforms in China, and the number of people that were brought out of poverty because of those capitalistic reforms that happen in China. They're kind of pulling back now since the government's losing some control, right? But yeah. Well, it's been good talking to you. I want you to make one more pitch, right?
Well, I appreciate that.
Talk out there to some of the voters and, tell them what you're about.
Sure. My name's Cole Kelley. I'm running for State Board of Education in District 12. Actually covers Vineyard, Orem, Heber City and Wasatch County, into Duchesne County, Uinta County, and Daggett. So it's kind of a rectangle straight east. But I have the background of a classroom teacher with conservative values, and I think I'm somebody that can really advocate for our students and our teachers, for that matter. And I'd love to have your vote in this upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice having you, Cole.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.